The day our last child left home, you didn't even walk to the car. You stayed in the kitchen, rinsing a coffee cup, while I stood outside on the driveway holding our baby girl, like it was the last warm thing left in my life. She waved at the door, waiting for you to appear. You never did. On the drive back from the airport, she asked me if we would finally start doing things together, just the two of us. I didn't know how to tell her. I was more afraid of that silence than every fight we ever had. So here's my question. What do you do when the kids leave and you realize your marriage left years ago? Hi, I'm Melissa Carter. I'm 52. I've been married to Daniel for almost 30 years. On paper, we look like a success story. 3 kids in college, a paid-off house, a quiet suburb, 2 cars, 1 dog, and a kitchen with way too many cups. If you met us 20 years ago, you would have seen a couple always touching, always talking over each other, trying to tell the story faster, like kids racing to the punchline. I remember one night, the twins were toddlers. Our oldest had a fever and the power went out in the middle of a storm. The house was dark. The kids were scared. Rain hit the windows like tiny stones. Daniel lit candles, made shadow puppets on the wall, and somehow turned that rough night into a memory the kids still love. Later, after everyone slept, we lay on the floor, listening to the rain. He whispered that this chaos, this loud, messy life, was everything he ever wanted. Back then, when he said home, I knew he meant me and the kids, not the mortgage, not the furniture, us. Somewhere along the way, that word changed, and I pretended not to notice. The first cracks showed up long before Emily left for college. They were there years earlier, and I kept patching them with busyness. As the kids grew, our lives split into separate lanes. He worked late. I handled schools, practices, trips, and meetings. We became parents who divided things. He handled money. I handled hearts. If the kids needed a check, they went to him. If they needed comfort, they came to me. I told myself that was normal. Every marriage changes. You can't expect to feel 25 forever. But little things started bothering me, like the way he stopped asking real questions. I'd tell him Emily was nervous about her tests, and he'd say she's fine, without looking up from his laptop, or the way he talked about when the kids leave, with a tone I recognized. Not sadness, almost relief. One Sunday, we cleaned the garage. He picked up a box, labeled Emily, early school, filled with drawings, cards, a pink hair clip. He glanced, closed the box, and pushed it to the donate pile. I stared at it, and a memory hit me from her first day of kindergarten. She clung to his leg, fingers white, and he knelt down, telling her the world was bright and big, and he'd be right there, cheering her on. She walked inside because she believed him, standing in the garage, years later, watching him push her past, aside like trash. I felt something sharp in my chest. Hey, I said softly, that's her stuff. He shrugged. She's not a kid now. We can't keep everything. Mel, I laughed it off, moved the box back, and changed the subject. That became my gift, changing the subject, changing the lighting, changing the story in my head. When he worked later, I said he was tired. When he stopped touching me in small ways he used to, a hand on my back, a kiss on my shoulder, I said we were older. At night, lying beside his back, I remembered early years, how he showed up at my office with a bag of food, begging me to steal dinner with him because he missed me. How he looked at me once like I was the lead in his life. Now, most nights, I felt like noise in the background. And still I told myself, it was fine, just a phase. Emptiness would fix it. Once the kids were gone, we'd have our time again. That's what people said. I clung to that hope like a lifeline. I was scared to inspect. The real break began a few weeks before Emily left. We sat together in the living room, surrounded by boxes, half-packed. Her letter was pinned to the fridge like a trophy. Daniel scrolled his phone, barely looking up. Emily buzzed with nerves, talking about dorm life, roommates, a campus she saw only twice. I watched her hands as she talked, the same small hands that once fit inside his. She turned to him. Dad, are you excited for me? He glanced up, smiled flat. Of course, this is what we wanted. She waited for more, a story, a memory, something. He went back to his screen. That night, after she went upstairs, I found him sitting at the table surrounded by numbers and papers. "Do you think about what it'll be like?" I asked. He didn't look up. What's gonna be like when the kids are gone?" He shrugged. "Quiet, cheaper." I tried to laugh. "Cheaper, yes, but I mean us. You and me." He looked up then, eyes tired, far away. "Melissa, what do you want me to say?" Anger and panic rose at once. "I don't know, something more than quiet and cheaper." He pushed back in his chair. "We raised 3 kids, we did our job, now we get a break. Isn't that what you wanted?" A memory hit fast, knocking the breath out of me. Years ago, after a long day of kids and chaos, I told him I felt invisible. He held my face, looked right at me and said, "When the chaos ends, I'll take you dancing every Friday, just you and me." I'm saving dances. Mel, I believed him so much, I bought a red dress and hid it away, waiting for that season. Now in the dining room, watching him buried in numbers, I wondered if he remembered that at all. "I wanted us, not a break," I said softly. He sighed, a sound like a door closing. "We're too old to play newlyweds. Life is what it is. We'll travel, we'll have dinner, it'll be fine." Fine? Is that the best word you have for the rest of our lives? His jaw locked. "Why make everything a problem? The kids are fine, we're stable, and all you do is pick at feelings." That word, feelings, hit hard. I remembered him, years ago, on the bathroom floor, holding me after my mother died, telling me to let it out, that my feelings mattered, that he wasn't going anywhere. Now he looked at my heart, like it bothered him. Something hardened inside me. "This isn't about feelings. This is about me not knowing if you want to be with me, or if you just want to be left alone." He pushed his chair back, stood up, gathered his papers. "I'm not doing this. Not now. Emily leaves soon. Can we not make drama, right? Wouldn't want to break the peace." He walked away, leaving me there, with the wine glass, the brochures, and the echo of the man who once promised me Friday night dances. That was the moment. I let myself think, the thought I'd dodged for years. What if the kids leave and there's nothing left between us but bills and old stories? Move-in day came faster than I was ready for. The house was clean, too quiet, all the chaos reduced to boxes and college papers. Emily came down, dragging her suitcase, wearing the big hoodie Daniel bought years ago. She looked caught between 12 and 20. "Dad," she called, "you ready?" He didn't answer. Her eyes moved to me, then the front door, like she hoped he'd walk out. But I knew better. He stayed in the kitchen all morning, rinsing the same cup over and over. "Go wait in the car, honey, I'll get your dad." When she stepped out, I walked in. He stared out the window, hands on the counter like he needed it to stay upright. "You're not coming, are you?" He flinched, but stayed facing the glass. "Melissa, it'll be a madhouse. Lines, crowds, you and Em can handle it. I'll just be in the way." Something in me went very still, because suddenly, I wasn't in the kitchen. I was back in that hospital, 21 years ago, holding our newborn twins. Terrified, exhausted. The nurse said he had to leave. He squared his shoulders and said he wouldn't leave me alone. He slept in a plastic chair, 12 hours, feeding me ice, changing diapers. His love once was loud, messy, rule-breaking. Now he couldn't bother with a parking spot. "You're not in the way. You're her father." He turned at last, eyes tight. "She'll be fine. She needs to learn to do hard things without us. She's not asking for a hand, she's asking you to show up." His jaw locked. "I've been showing up 18 years. Bills, emergencies, late-night drives. Forgive me for skipping a dorm tour." That sharp thing in my chest twisted hard. "This isn't crowds, this is you, not looking at her like she matters." "You're being dramatic," he said. The word he used, to make me shrink, but I didn't. "Not this time. Dramatic. Our daughter is leaving, our last child, a day people remember forever, and you're hiding here with a cup." He looked away, like the window needed him. "You don't get it," he muttered. "Then explain it, because from here it looks like you've been backing out of this family for years." He slammed a cup into the sink. I stayed. He shot back. "Every time I thought about leaving, I stayed. When you drowned in kids, when all we had was debt and no sleep, I stayed. His writ hard. I never asked you to stay from pity. I asked you to be here. He laughed once, empty. You think I don't see it. You and the kids treat me like a paycheck, a boring dad, a man with spreadsheets. A memory hit me. Emily at 12, showing him a drawing. He said nice and went back to the laptop. She tossed it. I found it later, smoothed it, and framed it. Dad's busy, she'd said. It probably looked dumb. I said he was tired. Now, listening to him rewrite everything, something hot rose in me. Daniel, you shut down. Long before we stopped trying, you built a wall. We had to move around. He shook his head. I became the adult. Someone had to. You wanted feelings and long talks. I kept the lights on. I stepped closer. Do you remember the red dress? He blinked, thrown. I bought it, after you promised. Friday dances, when life calmed down. His face softened for a breath. I saw the man who held me after my mother died, whispering we had each other. Then it vanished. People say things, he muttered. We were kids. Life changed. Sorry I didn't deliver a movie script. There it was, the drop. Shock faded, paralysis settled. So you didn't mean it. All those promises, all those later talks, you were just talking. He rubbed his forehead. I meant it then. But now, we're not the same. You want feelings, gestures. I want peace. Something snapped. Peace? You call this peace? Walking past each other like strangers, you hiding here while I take her alone. You know what it feels like, to me? He stayed silent. It feels like you left 10 years ago, and today is the first day you stopped pretending. That hit him. His shoulders fell. He sat down, eyes older. I don't know how to be what you want. I tried early on, but it felt like you wanted more. I thought of myself younger, holding the red dress, hoping he'd choose me. Maybe I didn't want more. I just wanted what you promised. Silence grew sharp. Outside, Emily waited in the car, and I knew I had to speak the truth for her and for me. Okay, here's the truth. You don't want to go because it forces you to face what we built and how done you feel. He swallowed, eyes locked on mine. And I don't want to enter this empty nest, pretending we're fine when we're not. I can't do this. Half marriage. Not anymore. He opened his mouth, but said nothing. Shock ended, numbness settled, clarity rose. I'm taking her to college. When I come back, we won't hide this. We decide what this is, for real. He stared at me, seeing me clear for the first time. Are you saying you want a divorce? I swallowed. I'm saying I want a life where I'm truly with someone or not. But I can't live in this in-between anymore. I walked out before he could answer. Outside, the sunlight felt too bright, the air too still. Emily sat waiting, picking at the edge of her boarding pass. Dad's not coming, she asked. I looked her in the eyes. No, I said softly, he's not in a good place, but I am here, fully here, okay. She studied my face for a long moment, like she was reading a language. I'd never spoken to her before. Okay, she said at last. The drive to campus was a blur of highway and mile markers. We talked about her roommate, her classes, whether she should loft the bed. I listened, like my life depended on it. Each time my mind drifted back to the kitchen, back to Daniel's empty look, I pulled it back to her laugh, describing the campus cafe, to the way she reached for my hand without knowing it. Move-in day was just like he said, crowded halls. Too many parents, not enough elevators. But within the chaos was something quiet. Watching her set up her tiny room, hang pictures, arrange her books, she was building a life that didn't revolve around us anymore. She paused once, holding a photo, all 5 of us at the beach, sand everywhere. Daniel mid-laugh, a kid on each shoulder. Should I put this up? She asked. I looked at the photo, at the younger him, warm, alive. Yeah, I said, you should. She pinned it above her bed. When it was time to say goodbye, she hugged me tight, so tight my ribs hurt. I'm scared, she whispered. What if I mess this up? A memory rose, her at 5, tiny legs shaking at the diving board. Daniel calling out, jump scared. You don't have to jump brave. I breathed in. Here's a secret. Everybody's scared. You just move anyway, one small step, then another. She pulled back, eyes shiny. You're gonna be okay, right? You and Dad. for the first time in years. I didn't lie, I don't know, I said, but I promise you I'm done pretending. Whatever comes next, it'll be real. She held my eyes, then nodded. Okay, she whispered. That's all I need. The drive home felt different, not the dead silence we'd lived in for years. It felt like after a storm, when you don't know what survived, but you feel something shift. In the driveway, I paused, looking at the front door. Part of me wanted to back out, drive away, avoid it all. Instead, I walked inside. Daniel sat at the table, papers untouched, phone face down. He looked up fast, his eyes searching mine. For once, I didn't fill the silence. I set my keys down, hung my bag, and sat across from him. No wine glass, no shield, no pretending. Just two people, finally facing what they really were and were not. Okay, I said quietly, let's talk about what we are and what we're not. I wish I could tell you we fixed it that night, that we cried in each other's arms, or signed papers, or booked help, or tied things up with a neat bow. But the truth is, we're still living in that messy middle. We didn't divorce the next week. We didn't fall back in love overnight. We started therapy separate at first. Hard talks, real talks. Some nights we talked until midnight. Some nights we barely said a word. There are evenings now where we sit on opposite ends of the couch, but sometimes one of us will cross that quiet space and sit closer. The red dress is still hidden in my closet. I don't know if I'll wear it for him or for myself or for someone I haven't met, but here's what I know. When the kids left, I finally stopped leaving myself. I stopped calling numbness peace. I stopped shrinking to fit inside someone else's comfort. If you see yourself in this story, in the quiet kitchen, in the driveway, goodbyes, in the space between who you were and who you are now, you're not alone. If you feel like sharing, tell me about your empty nest or the moment you knew you couldn't keep pretending things were fine. Sometimes saying it out loud is the first small step toward a life that finally feels real.